Hello everyone, and this is Inayat Mir with my Windows Server 2016 Direct Access topic. So this topic is actually very long. You will see 300 plus steps for this live video. I am going to show you how you can improve this direct access knowledge and how you can actually get benefit taking Microsoft MCSA 2016 exam. So again, as I said, this is a long video and you always can pause screen, read the information, and you can continue. I can do so here as well, but you have your own choice to do that one. So I will use a complete scenario with several virtual machines. So you have on the right side LON-DC1, which is a domain controller, LON-CL1, this is a client, CL2 is a second client, LON-SVR1 is a Windows Server 2016 operating system using domain adatum.com. So this is a domain member, and EU is a router, and iNet1 is a PC with internet. So you will see a concept how this all works. This is a good and a long scenario which you have to understand first. First, we have to document all information about these computers. From the middle also, I can show you here that I do have my servers available. I can access them, my servers or my clients, from the middle or from the right side. So we will notify basically ourselves that what are the settings we have, which PC has what IP address, which PC is a member of what computer, what domain, and that is very important information. So I will log in using my portal, so where I don't have to type my password, but password is right over here. If I want to type it manually, I can do it. So also one more thing, on the bottom you will see here steps. Whatever step I am performing, it is given to you right over here in the bottom. Only you will not see these steps when I zoom in and use my zoom and pan feature, so possibly you will not be able to read, but I'm going to just describe you and telling you whatever actually is going to be done on the screen. So I'm also adding my email address in case if anybody wants to read all lab steps in PDF format. So here I'm just notifying myself that what is my IP address on what computer. So here it is a LON-DC1 IP address, which is 172.16.0.10, and I just took a screenshot. So you can use snippet, or you can use a Snagit, whatever screen capturing tool you have, to copy the information about your servers and the clients, just to have some info about the network configuration. So I am on my Europe router. I'm going to log into the Europe router. You can have multiple ways to go into your network card's properties to look at your IP address. This can be achieved through a server manager, or this can be achieved through control panel, or this can be achieved through command line. So you can use NC as N as in Nancy, C as in Charlie, PA, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, .msc to access your network cards, or you can use local servers. So let me first disable my routing and remote access console. So this was recommended and it is recommended. So simply you're gonna go into your routing and remote access console and disable it and accept the prompt for disabling RRAS. So this is basically already configured for you in advance. So keep in mind that the server name itself explains that this is a router. So EU, we just name it and assume that this is a router in Europe. So now I have routing and remote access disabled. So you simply can right click on your start and go to your network connection. Also, this was another method. So this router has multiple network cards. So in other words, you could say this is a 4-port router. So this is a PC router running Windows Server 2016 operating system. To have these network cards refresh, we simply can disable and enable. So in real life, you don't have to do that. So because we are using virtual computers, we are using Hyper-V based virtual computers through LMS, is a learning management system, where you have to pay to rent these computers, servers or clients or labs. So simply I am going to disable each network card and enable back, just to avoid any confusion or any network communication. In between, sometimes we have an issue and we may have some issues for a communication between the network. So what we do, simply we go and disable and enable our network cards on all computers, whichever computer has an issue to communicate with another computer. So that was done, and whatever is required, you have to do that for a virtual environment. So let's note the IP address of my router. We are looking at TCP IP v4 address. So this is 01. My domain was 010. So these two computers are on the same network using this network card, but other network cards on the router have different IP address. So you will see that how we are configured on other computers with a default gateway. So through the default gateway, if other host is in a different network, so actually that host will be able to communicate to our domain or our network because of the router. So this was my router's IP, and this is my second network card. So we are looking for internet network card. So this is our public IP address, which we assume that we are using to go online, and when we don't have our local network card enabled, but our direct access is configured, we will be able to communicate through this network or through the internet. So you will see in AD we're going to have a group, and that group will have those members which will use direct access without having a local network card enabled, but they will have a network card with internet. So they will use direct access feature, and this is my client. I am showing you my client network card properties. We have two network cards. One is a local, like a London _ network, that is configured with current network. So once you disable this network, and you will be online if you enable a second network. So that is a public address what we assume that we have here. So we saw here the environment what we have. You can see the IP address as well. So this will explain that this IP address belongs to 172.16.0.50. So 172.16 network actually is here as well. But if this network card is enabled, we will be able to communicate with our DC or our file server. But if this network card is not enabled, excuse me, so we will not be. So this is the way I'm showing you to snippet IP address. And you can copy in a notepad, WordPad. So you can use write, WRITE command. This will actually launch your word pad. So here you can save this with maybe your client computer's name as a file name. So later on, when you need to know what is the IP address of this client, you will come back and see it. So this was just a snippet. So I just use a built-in tool in your Windows operating system, and which is called SNIP. You can simply go into the search window and type SNIP, and it will show up. Just use that one. So far we are doing just a documentation. You also can just create a notepad. In that notepad, keep adding those IP addresses, whatever are required to actually note, because this documentation is very important in real life environment, in production environment. You have to do that anyway, and you have to know that. So this is my LON-SVR server. Same procedure. You can go to your network connection. From there you can look at your network. This is only one network card here, and this is a part of our ADATM domain. So you simply can go to the properties and look at the IP address. So we are on the same network here as well. So just note it down the way I did before. Same thing. I just snipped, capture it, and saved it into my root drive on this server. Later on, whenever we need to access these IPs, if we don't know or if we cannot memorize, we simply can go and use it. So the other one, the last one on the bottom right side, this PC is iNet1 2741B-iNet1, and this is a host name of this computer, iNet1. You can notice that this is not a domain member. So I logged locally into this computer. Again, using same methods. You can use the way you want to, any method you want to use to access your network card, and note settings, what settings you have. So this is a totally different network. This is a it seems like a public address. That was actually intention to have only this address available here, because you can use this IP or this network actually later on, and you will use it. And we do have this on LON-CL1, this setting. This is my domain, adatom.com, very famous name from Microsoft. And we usually see contoso.com, adatom.com domains here. As you see the steps, you will actually get another guideline that what we are doing here. So we are creating a new organizational unit, OU. OU is a container. This container can contain objects. Objects can contain properties. Properties can contain values. This is a container or OU. We name it as special accounts. You can dump further objects or containers within this object. This is within this container. So we are going to create a group. So this group will be a direct access clients group. So what we are going to do here, we will add members. So whichever member needs direct access from a remote location should be member of this group. So this group will be configured actually with all clients who will access remotely to the network. So far we are going to add LON-CL1 we have to check computers objects in order to locate the computer from Active Directory. So later on we will add LON-CL2 in the lab, but so far we are adding only LON-CL1. You can click on check names. This will validate if this client exists in Active Directory. So far we have now one group. That group contains one client computer. So this was a scenario from lab A, which we have just completed. It was very straightforward. Nothing was difficult, but you always can look at the scenario and continue. So we are back to our router. We are accessing a remote access management console. Again, this was already installed. So anything you want to install, you always go to the dashboard where you can install any kind of role or any kind of feature. So we are going to run getting started visit, and we will use direct access only option. And we will use Edge as our option. And we will require our public IP address here. 131.107.0.10. So this IP will be used by our direct access remote access setup. Is a basically console where you are going to set this up. So now you're going to review that. And look at the GPO settings and look at your server settings. Click on, you're gonna configure here all required setup. So you're gonna click on the GPO settings and remote client change first, and we don't want all domain computers, so we want only what we need. So we can remove all domain computers, which was a default behavior. So what we need here, on container. So we are going to look for the group what we have created. So if you click on add, this will directly try to look from Active Directory. So if there is only one group or unique group, you don't have to type the whole name. Simply you type the first few letters and click on check names. So your group will be picked up automatically. That is what happened. So now we have this group available under client setup. So any member of this group will be able to access using a direct access feature. So on the bottom left side, you have this light bulb. Frequently you have information here to fill in to the forms what are basically provided in your lab environment. So in order to do that, you can use this way to complete your required information, or again you will see here very frequently my email address pops up multiple times here. I have a full PDF lab that is approximately 14 or 15 pages long. If you want all screenshots, yes, I do have that one. That will be approximately over 400 plus pages. So that will include a PDF with all lab steps and all information. So here we are filling up the required information: organization name, group names, server names which will be used. So we are removing default configurations and customizing it, because this is a testing environment. So we are actually looking for a client PC as a test PC to use direct access, to access LAN, and to access required resources in the LAN. So we have an empty folder in the network. So we will assume that client is on the internet and using a direct access and reaching a shared folder in the network without using LAN. So that is where we're gonna check direct access. So we have here 4 different steps to configure. We will configure later on. So far we did some initial direct access and VPN setup through the first visit. So that was the first requirement which we have performed. You always can pause the video, you always can go back, rewind the video, you always can fast forward. And this was a lab A part 2. So again, you can pause, review whatever was performed, look at it, understand it, and continue with the next step. We are going to use some PowerShell as well. You will see a couple of commands under the PowerShell. This light bulb, you're gonna use those one, and I will show you how to use, and directly you can copy it. So we are back to our client computer. Now this client has to be restarted because it is a part of direct access environment. So this client currently is configured with a local area network, regular LAN settings. So you assume that you are in the network as at this time. You will be able to access to your file servers, any shared folder in the network with no issues. But once you disable your network card, local network card, and you enable your second network card that is configured with the internet, and that is the concept. So you are sitting at your office physically, or you are sitting at remotely in a remote location or at a remote location. So here we're going to verify a couple of things through the command line. So first you're going to see the GP update or GP result or group policy result. So under computer settings, we're going to verify that direct access policy was applied. This is as simple. You can check actually from any client computer a group policy result. If you are part of a group policy, you always can check. So under applied group policy objects, you have seen that direct access client settings were applied, and default domain policy is always there, no matter what, unless you configure it. So whatever you configure, that is how that default policy or default domain policy behaves. So we can use now net shell command, net sh name show effective policy. So direct access settings are inactive when this computer is inside a corporate network. So if you take a laptop to at work location, your direct access settings will be disabled. So if you take out that laptop to a remote location, or you come back to home, or you travel, that is where your direct access settings changed. So and then you will be able to actually have direct access settings available. So this is a kind of a flip our automation. So here we do this manually. So this is a wrong browser. I have to use IE. And we are going to access LON-SVR1. That has a default IIS page available. Currently, I am configured with my LAN settings. I did not disable my local area network. So you can see my default IIS 9 web page appears. So that is very normal. I can see that if I disable my network card, it will not appear because I am on LON-CL1 and I tried to access LON-SVR1 on the network. So having both network cards disabled will not get me to that page. So this is the concept. So if you access through a URL, you should be able to get shared folder. I did not put anything in this 2016 version. By default in 2012 version, you had actually this kind of scenario with couple of notepads in it. So here you have your UNC path, and UNC path works perfectly. This is a universal naming convention. That is what it means. UNC path. You can use a / server /share. So you look at your IP address. Currently, you are on your LAN 172.16.0.50 network. We don't want that because we are configured with internet. This is my tunnel adapter ISA tab that was covered actually in your previous classes. And in my previous videos, I have explained this very well in IPv6 video. If you did not see that, please browse and find that video to look at the information about ISA tab. So I am going to disable my LAN network, local area network, and assume that I'm traveling. And once you go and travel, automatically your one network card will be disabled, other will be enabled if you are configured with a direct access. So I am configured with a direct access. Let's verify the IP address on this WAN network card or internet network card. So you have a unique IP address here. Seems like a public IP address, and we are using a 0100 available DNS at this time. So just verify that everything is matching with our light bulb information or information box. So if you notice that now we don't have our local network card configured, so technically we are out of network, but at the back end we are configured with direct access. So if you can't actually use it or access it, you might want to do some work on it or reboot the computer, refresh the policy. But currently I am still seeing that I am able to access my IIS page. That could be a cache as well. You can clear the cache, check it back if you see an issue. So far I am seeing that my internet network card is enabled, and my London underscore network card is disabled, but I am still able to access a shared folder which has nothing in it, but I'm able to access it. So this indicates that my direct access is working appropriately. If it's not, I would say, or I would suggest that do another reboot on client computer. So IPconfig shows my internet address, and you also can see my tunneling adapter IPv6 address. As I said before, we are all familiar with these IPv6 environment, and we have done a long video on this topic, approximately I believe 196 steps or something around that. So we configured this all. You exactly know about this all info. If you still do not know, when you email me, add a note so I can send you this IPv6 info, but it is on YouTube. I already have posted IPv6. All you need to go use my name and IPv6, you will get my notes right there. So you can see now the name resolution policy table that shows you edatom.com and nls.edatom.com. So you will see NLS record in DNS as well. We're gonna do some updates in the DNS. We're gonna verify a few records in DNS. So this is the DNS effective name resolution policy table. This is also known as NPT, which stands for name resolution policy table. So you can switch from command line to the PowerShell just by typing PowerShell, and the vice versa. So this is a command, get-DACLINT experience configuration. This will give you all direct access client experience configuration output. You can dump this also into a notepad with a greater than sign after the command, and then pointing out to the location, so where you can go and open a notepad or a CSV file and read through a document instead of going to the command line and reading that. So I am back on my router. And you see that now I am not on the LAN. So HTTPS is a protocol that is used through direct access instead of having a LAN connection. And my protocols at the bottom, connection details, you can see that I'm using machine Kerberos and a user Kerberos protocol. So that validates our current connection and the settings. So this was completed successfully with no issue so far. If you have only communication issues, just take a look. Lab B, please pause the video or read the scenario. So what Lab B basically is going to do, so we are going to move into a little advanced environment with a little advanced configuration scenarios. So we are back to our domain. And we had this special accounts OU provisioned earlier. And we added up one member before, and that was tested successfully. So we are going to change the object type to computers because we want to add a second computer, which is LON-CL2. And I told you earlier we are going to use LON-CL1 first for testing purposes. Now the concept is that in the future, so everything is configured, you simply keep adding your members, your domain members or your clients into this group. So this group is already configured in DirectAccess. So every member on this group will have same benefits or same restrictions. I would say benefits what LON-CL1 has. So we are going to open our DNS console and adding a new A records. You will see option here A or AAAA. They are referring to IPv6 or IPv4. So NLS is a new A host record. We are using a 172.16.0.11 IP address. So this is a manual record we added manually. And you are going to add another record, CRL. CRL stands for a certificate revocation list. We're gonna give them IP 172.16.0.1, and that's it. So we have added 2 records in our DNS. You always can read any scenario, or if you are confused with anything, so steps in this screen also can explain to you, but I do have a PDF that explains a little better. So going back into your router, I would say a PC router. This is a simple Windows 2016 operating system PC router acting as a multi-homed or hosting multi-homed network cards, or multi-homed is known as a multi-homed PC. So this is a public IP address, which we assume that this is a public IP address. So we are looking at a DNS configuration, DNS suffix. So we can add our domain as a search list. So suffix is a search list,